Neil and Lily took out a 30-year, $130,000 mortgage at a 12% annual interest rate. After 20 years, they refinanced the unpaid balance of $92,705 at a lower 10% annual rate. Find the monthly payments on the original loan and on the new loan, and then find the total amount saved on interest by refinancing. So first of all, you got to understand the problem, and I guess the thing is to take it in steps. The basic problem is a loan at 12%. It's a 30-year mortgage on $130,000. Later on, they're going to refinance, but right now we're interested in the original loan, so let's not worry too much yet about the refinancing. They're asking us about the original loan, and that's the one at 12%. Now, we've learned how to read these tables before. They're giving us a table that tells us what a monthly payment would be if the loan were just $1,000, and then you have to figure out how many thousands there are in the amount that was actually taken out. So based on the interest rate of 12%, we will be reading off this bottom row of the table. And it's a 30-year mortgage, so we'll be reading from the last column here. So the intersection of the row and the column gives us the monthly payment. So if they had borrowed just $1,000, they would have been paying back $10.29 per month. But how many thousands are there in 130? You just simply take the amount of the mortgage and divide it by whatever the amount here is, which for all our problems are 1,000. They always give our table as monthly payments on a $1,000 loan. So you take 130,000 and divide it by 1,000, and of course you get 130. So it is as if by borrowing $130,000 that they took out $130,000 loans. So obviously the payment on a $130,000 loan that payment is just going to be $1,000 loan payments, which would be $10.29. So all you have to do is read the table value and decide how many thousands there are in 130,000 and multiply that. At 130 times 1029, if you do that in your calculator, comes out to be $1,337.70. So the answer to the first part of the question, the payment on a $130,000 loan from a 30-year mortgage at 12% would be $1,337.70. Okay, now they want us to look at the second part, so we have to come to grips with what the rest of the problem says. So let's do that. But first of all, I just want to put the calculation away. But remember, we've already calculated this monthly payment for the original loan. Now we're interested in the new one. So let's see what happens in the end. In the end, they refinance. They're able to find a 10% rate, but they don't finance until 20 years later. So there are only 10 years left on that loan. After 20 years, they decide to refinance. So what we need to do is the same thing we did before, but now we're looking at the new loan, the one that's at 10%. Okay, so we do the same sort of thing. There's only 10 more years on the loan, so we'll be looking at column for 10. They're going to take out a 10-year mortgage. and the interest rate this time is 10%, so we'll be looking at this row. So again, the intersection of those two is the monthly payment if they had just borrowed $1,000. But how much did they borrow at this new rate? Well, they told us. They told us that the unpaid balance after the end of those 20 years was $92,705. So they rolled that $92,705 back into the new loan. So the question now is, before we were saying, well, how many thousands are there in 130,000? Well, now that was easy. You could just do that in your head, 130. Well, now how many thousands are there in 92,705? That doesn't come out even. So you have to actually take your calculator, and you're going to have to calculate 92,705 divided by 1,000, and that tells you how many $1,000 loans they took out, essentially. But you could do the other in your head. And actually, if you think about it, you can do this in your head. Dividing by 1,000 is like multiplying, is like moving the decimal place 3 spots to the left. You can do it in your calculator if you like. But in any case, you will get 92.705. So that $92,705 is like taking out almost 90. Well, it's not dollars anymore. It's almost like taking out 92, between 92 and 93 $1,000 loans, closer to 93 $1,000 loans. So we do the same thing we did before. Once we get this number, this tells us what to multiply the monthly payment on $1,000 is. This is how many $1,000 loans we have in essence. So let's do that. So all we have to do is take this 92.705 and multiply it by the monthly payment for the 10-year loan at 10%, which we found out was $13.22. And if you take your calculator and do that calculation, you'll end up with $1,225.56. So by refinancing, they were able to drop their monthly payments from $1337.70 to $1225.56. Okay, so now we figured out the amount of monthly payments in the original loan. We've found out how much they are, the monthly payments are on the refinanced loan. Now we want to know how much they saved. Well, that's pretty easy. Remember, we've already got the two numbers. This is the monthly payment they started out making. This is the monthly payment they switched to by refinancing. So all you have to do to find out how much they saved is just subtract. So they saved $1337.70 minus $1225.56, and if you do that subtraction, you'll find out that they saved $112.14, but that's a monthly saving. They saved that each month. But they want to know the total amount of saving, not just the monthly saving. Well, how long did they do that? Well, they did it after 20 years. So for 10 more years, they had that monthly saving. So this saving of $112.14 continued for a total of 10 years. Well, 10 years, 10 times 12 is 120. So that's 120 months. So remember that 10 years is 120 months. So they had that savings of $112.14 for 120 months. So if you take $112.14 and multiply by 20, you'll find out times 120, you'll end up with $13,456 So after all is said and done, it saved the couple a little over $13,000 by refinancing from the original loan to the new loan.